Howdy folks. Today is the 9th of May 2023. I'm out here on my driveway with my new Bronco Sport Badlands edition. This is a 2023 model vehicle. I traded that stupid ass Volkswagen that I had that I did not like for this Bronco. And I really like this Bronco Sport. I made this deal on the 18th of April, so I think today makes about 3 weeks exactly that I've had this Bronco Sport. And so part of the reason I'm making this video today was, number one, to review this Bronco, but a week ago, on Tuesday, 1 week ago today, I was coming home from work in this thing. It only had 1,100 miles on it, and I had a transmission problem. I stopped at a stoplight and was not in the lane I wanted to be in, and I was right in front. And so when the light turned green, I accelerated, a little harder than I normally would to get in front and move over one lane to get in the lane I needed to be in for the next intersection, which was only 150 yards from the light where I was stopped. And as I was slowing down to stop at the next light, it seemed like the engine was lugging as I was applying the brake. Like it wouldn't downshift or something. It was very strange. And then when I got to a complete stop, the engine stalled. I mean, it just stalled abruptly, almost simultaneously as the vehicle came to a stop. And so I didn't know what happened. So I put it in park and restarted the engine, and it started and ran fine. There was no warning lights, no check engine light. And so I proceeded to put it back in gear. And when I did, the engine stalled again. And it was very strange. It was like I had applied a brake to the engine when I put it in gear. And so I restarted it a second time, tried it again, had the same result. It would do the same thing in reverse also. And so I didn't know what was going on. After I thought about it for a few minutes, I decided that the issue was with the torque converter clutch. At first, I thought maybe I had burned it, when I was accelerating a little quickly from the first stoplight, but I ruled that out pretty quick. And so I sat there blocking traffic for about 10 minutes, continuing to restart it and attempt to get it to go in gear and drive normally, and it would not. And so I called the Ford roadside assistance number and got a tow truck. Took about an hour and a half to get it there. I just so happened to be broke down with it about 2 miles from the dealership where I bought it. And so we had it hauled over to the dealership and offloaded it. I tried to start it and drive it again. At that point, it would not drive. It would stall the engine as soon as you put it in gear. So by that time, the dealership service department was closed and the sales department was getting ready to close. And so fortunately, they were good enough to put me in a brand new Mustang to drive while the service department tried to sort out my problem. And the next morning, when the service department opened and the first technician was assigned to my Bronco, he went and got in it, started it up, put it in gear, and it drove normally. Period. It drove normally. There was no symptom like I had with it. He drove it around 20-30 miles on that day. They couldn't duplicate the problem. There was no history, no fault history in the data logger on the PCM. There was no trouble codes. As far as they were concerned, I was crazy. So they kept it a week and put over 100 miles on it, and was never able to get it to duplicate the problem. And so today, they asked me to come and pick it back up, which I did. And so I've got it back here, and now I don't know if it's going to leave me stranded again or not. But anyway, hopefully someone sees this video that may have had a similar experience with their brand new Bronco Sport, period. I'm pretty convinced myself that the culprit here was the torque converter clutch solenoid inside the transmission. I suspect that valve got stuck in the closed position with the torque converter clutch locked, and then as I started slowing down, when I stepped on the brake, that torque converter clutch normally would unlock at that point, commanded by the PCM, which I'm sure it did send the command, but I think for whatever reason, the physical valve itself was stuck and the torque converter clutch did not release, and that's why it stalled the engine when I came to a stop. I also think that theory is supported by the fact that the next morning, after the vehicle spent the night at the dealership and cooled off completely, I think that's why it worked the next morning without any input from a service tech. I explained all this to the service department at the dealership. They listened to what I had to say, but I don't think they put any stock in it. I don't think those folks get that deep into the troubleshooting effort. I think when they hook their computer up, if they don't find anything that way, especially on a brand new vehicle, I think they pretty much wash their hands of it. So I started a case with Ford Motor Company. They actually contacted me, in fact. I made a thread about this on the FordTrucks.com forum, and my thread wasn't active more than a couple of hours before I got a response from Ford Motor Company on the forum there, and they asked me to send them a private message with all of these event details, and they opened a case at the corporate level. So that case is still ongoing, and I don't know what's going to happen with it yet. So anyway, I'll do the rest of the review here. So this particular Bronco is a Badlands model. It has the 2-liter 4-cylinder rather than the 1.5-liter 3-cylinder like most of them have. It's very quick. I really like driving it. It's got plenty of power. And this particular one is a very basic Badlands model. It does not have any extra techie optional features, stuff like the Volkswagen had that I really hated. Whoops. I hate it when that happens. I had the key fob in my pocket and I smashed it. So anyway, yeah, this thing doesn't have active cruise control. It doesn't have a big fancy radio with all sorts of features. Does not have automatic climate control. It's got a rubber floor. Just really basic. It's exactly what I wanted. It's just got a standard cruise control, a standard intermittent wiper arrangement. Doesn't have anything that's automatic that's irritating. So I really like it. One option that it does have is the trailer towing package, which I liked because on a Bronco Sport, when you opt for the trailer towing package, you get a full-size spare, which I really like. Another neat feature is the bottle opener that is mounted inside the door jamb on the passenger side of the rear hatch. Pretty neat. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for my review on the Bronco. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention. One other option that it had was the oversized tires. It has the 235s on it instead of the 225, which was standard. And of course the Badland model sits up a little bit higher than any of the other sub-model Bronco Sports. So it really makes it look a little bit different, and I like it. Well, that's going to wrap me up. If anybody has had a similar situation with their Bronco Sport and the transmission problem that I just described, please comment down below. I would like to hear your story. Thanks for watching.